And
that was a good time.
Loved it straight away. Lived on a few of the Canary Islands, but this is my favourite.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what people don't... You're actually a chef, aren't you? You're a published chef.
I am a chef, and I did write a cookbook during lockdown.
Haven't you got a second one?
Yes, in the works. It was supposed to be done last year, but I ran out of time. So I'm currently putting it together. So hopefully second cookbook will be out soon.
That's great to have an interesting fact that nobody knows, though.
That
interesting fact is you are
I'm a
published author.
Have you got an interesting fact about it?
No.
I don't think I was just trying to think, have I got one? I don't think I have either. But I used to work for TUI as well. We both worked for TUI, but our paths never crossed in that world.
No.
Okay, well, I never worked for TUI. However, I did, back in the day, come here as a rep and work for Club 1830.
I guess we've had quite similar journeys.
That just shows how old I am. So I'm Chris. Hello, everybody. I used to present the afternoon show and drive on Oasis FM, and I did during COVID, as we're going to be talking about COVID later on. And I hung my headphones up until we've done the podcast, really. And I write for the Canarian Weekly, do bits for Oasis FM, and generally get involved where I can.
Yeah, fingers in all kinds of pies.
Absolutely.
So that's who we are. If you want to know any more, then just ask us, because we're open books.
Absolutely.
So I think we should go on to have a little chat about Tenerife and what's going on at the moment, because there is loads.
Or maybe about the Tenerife Pod. What's it about?
Oh, all right. Fair. Well, it's about Tenerife, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So we're talking everything Tenerife, yeah?
Everything. General Tenerife. This is for everybody that has some kind of connection with Tenerife, whether it be that they've lived here all their life, or they holidayed here once, or flew over it even. If you've got a bit of a passion for Tenerife, this is the place for you.
Absolutely. And if you maybe come on holiday a lot, or maybe you've never visited Tenerife. If you've never visited Tenerife and you're looking for information about coming over here, this is the podcast for you. This is where you're going to find out all the best stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically we're going to be doing everything for residents, for holidaymakers, for business owners, if you own a property here. Yeah. Okay, so where are we starting, Jen?
So, well, we're starting with something that happened quite recently, 6 years ago, with,
Or are we starting with events?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to try and go on to.
What's happening this week, Jen?
Can you please just let me play my little sting? Because that's really what I'm trying to do. So we're going to talk about what's going on in Tenerife. That's all I was after. That's all I wanted, guys. So obviously on the pod, we're going to keep you up to date with things that are happening, and it's a huge kind of time at the moment. In fact, today is a big day because Carnival celebrations begin in Los Cristianos.
Yes.
Have you ever been to any of the celebrations?
I have briefly went to probably the scariest fun fair I've ever been on in Los Cristianos. Because they're on the back of trucks, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm just scared of them because they're not... It's not like Alton Towers where everything is bolted down. This is on the back of a low.
Yeah, I must admit, you look at the pirate ship and it looks as though it's held up with bricks and a few wooden wedges and things like that. So
I'm going with my kids, so it'll be fine.
I don't know if it's interesting or not, but I've actually been in the Carnival Parade.
Wow.
What? Wait, what were you wearing?
Yeah,
tell us everything. Because I've got like feather boas. I feel like you've got Diamante bra on. I can see a shimmy.
Look, Jen, keep your desires to yourself. But no, we gate crashed the parade.
Really?
Yeah. It was just as Oasis FM was launching in 1997, and one of the DJs had a pickup truck. Stevie D's name was. Stevie D used to do like a reggae show, this, that, and the other. Yeah, he was really cool. And we got delayed starting the station from March till August, and we'd got about 1,000 Oasis FM T-shirts, and we thought we need to give them away.
Yeah.
And then we realised that the Carnival Parade was on. So we literally decorated his pickup, all jumped on the back of it, and we joined the end of the parade without any permission, no nothing. And eventually the police actually came along and asked us to leave because the street cleaners were trying to, I don't know if you've ever been, but as the parade passes, the street cleaners start clearing up. And they were being delayed because there was a huge train of people all wanting to get a free T-shirt. There was literally hundreds of people.
People love a free T-shirt.
I know. And the police came up and said, "You're not even supposed..." We went, "No." So yeah,
Fair dues.
we were actually in the parade as Oasis FM and got told to leave, so we got kicked off.
I feel like we should try that again one time. Like, we've got a few T-shirts that I think people would like to get their hands on. Well, actually, the opening parade is today on. So this is what are we? I'm all confused.
We're Thursday the 5th of March.
Right. So we're Thursday today. Yeah, I'm all over the shop. But that's when the opening parade is. Then there's loads going on throughout the next sort of couple of weeks. Loads of shows on the main stage and things like that, which we can get into a little bit more probably next week when the bigger event's happening. But
yeah, to be honest, I've just got to say, because I've been obviously to Carnival in Santa Cruz and Los Cristianos, and very often Santa Cruz can just be mayhem.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're coming on here on holiday. But I mean, if you live here, it's slightly different because you know what to expect. You've been to the north before. You kind of know your way around. If you're here on holiday, going to the Carnival in Santa Cruz is a great spectacle, but it's a nightmare. Whereas going to Los Cristianos, which is the biggest one outside of Santa Cruz, so for the other municipalities, it's the biggest one, is a fantastic option. They have a lot of the bands who are on, not on the main stage in Santa Cruz, but on the side stages or on the main stage here in Los Cristianos, and they put on a brilliant show. In fact, the Tina Turner, who's on the Next Tributo Fest, was on it 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So they have a really wide range of different things on. So if you're a holidaymaker, it's really the one to go to because it's so much less hassle and the parades are so more accessible.
And it's more compact, I think. Like, I went to Santa Cruz with children, and it was just like the amount of walking they ended up doing. You know what kids are like with my legs hurting. But the fun fair aspect of it, despite not being nailed down and stuff,
fun.
It was just, I mean, it's exactly the same, but in a much tighter space, so you don't have to walk so far to get on stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I would agree with that. Los Chris has got everything that you need, really.
And also the Carnival Queen dresses and all the rest of it are still amazing.
Yeah.
They're still, even though obviously they're for local rather than the national, they're still incredible.
Yeah. Well, it's just an experience. Like, if you've not experienced Carnival in the Canary Islands, like, if you're going to be here, then do it. The Carnival Queen Gala is one of the other biggest days, and that's 1 week today, the 12th. So that'll be next Thursday.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and then the main Carnival parade on the 15th, and then the burial of the sardine. I've never actually been to that. I don't really know what happens on that, but that's not till next Friday. No, 16th, Sunday. Sunday, yeah.
Day before St. Patrick's
Wait,
Day.
isn't that
That's going to be messy, isn't it?
Isn't it Monday? Because isn't Sunday...
Oh, sorry, Monday, yeah.
Yeah, because
Monday,
Sunday's the Mother's Day as well, isn't it?
Oh,
the 15th.
Must give my memory.
The UK Mother's Day.
Yes.
Important to mention. So, any questions anybody might have about Carnival and what to expect or how to experience or whatever you want to know, let us know. We can chat about it on next week's pod because it's ongoing.
It's in the same place it always is as well, isn't it? Is it the Valdez Centre? Opposite the Valdez Centre in that sort of local area.
Yeah, I drove past it yesterday. It's all
which
set
also,
up.
if you're a resident, makes parking virtually impossible.
Which it is anyway, but we like a challenge, don't we? Something else that's going on that I wanted to mention, and it's something I've never experienced, but Steve, as a chef, with your background,
tell me.
There's a gastro lovers experience at the Arona Grand. Have you heard about this?
I have heard about it. I've never had any experience of it, actually, but it's an event that really catches my attention and really is something that should be experienced if you're a lover of good food and wine pairings and all that sort of really, really good stuff.
Okay.
Because they don't mess around with these events.
So here's what, because maybe you will bet, because I'm a spaghetti bolognese, fajitas, omelette, repeat kind of girl, if I'm honest. But so this is what I know about this. It's the gastro lovers at the Arona Grand, an exclusive gastronomic experience with a 2 Michelin star chef. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it takes to be a Michelin star. Maybe you can tell me, I don't know. Like I say, at the Arona Grand Hotel with wine pairing, the chef's name is Juanlu Fernandez. And this is taking place on the 14th of March.
He's very well known in Spain.
Yeah.
He's very well known in Spain, yeah.
If you're a foodie...
Yeah, he has got 2 Michelin stars. And he is... to get 2 Michelin stars, you have to be something that's pretty exceptional. So the Michelin ratings go from 1 star, and the way the Michelin guide used to work is it was a guidebook for people who were touring America, and it was a place recommending places to go and eat. So 1 star used to be it's good if you're on your travels, make a beeline. 2 stars is somewhere that you should drive out of your way to go. And 3 stars is it is a destination and it is a reason to go there.
Well,
solely.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
and
that's
I like
interesting.
food.
The star ratings, Michelin star ratings mean all good chefs and all chefs who want to attain a star, they then want the 2 stars. To get 3 stars is nigh on impossible. There's not many 3-star chefs. To get 2 stars is very difficult. You have to be really, really good. And what this Michelin star chef does is exceptional.
But also, I mean, there are Michelin star restaurants here in the south of Tenerife.
loads.
In fact, we've got the highest concentration anywhere in Spain in a small area.
At last count, I think
Really?
at
Yeah,
last
yeah.
count,
There's
I think it was
11 restaurants in the area. Yeah, just in the south, in the north as well, but in the south of Tenerife, within it's a sort of Del Duque, Fania Bay, or this area.
I had no idea.
But to actually have a guest chef come in who's got 2 stars, to put on a one night, and more importantly, to have the wine pairing is really unusual. Now, Spring do a fair few of these gastro lovers. I think they do 4 a year, one for each season, spring, summer, and so on. And this one is on, I think it's
14th.
The 14th of
March, 7:30.
How much is it, Jen?
€150 per person.
That is really good value for 2 Michelin star. So this will be
And wine?
Yes, this will be multiple courses. Usually a tasting menu is 10 courses. It's not going to be gigantic proportions. It's going to be small bites or, ceviches and things like that and sauces. But it will be with the wine.
I've only ever done one tasting menu, and it was spectacular.
There's a good one they do regularly at the Corrals Hideaway Suites in La Caleta,
Okay.
and that usually is about 150, 200.
Which again, there's two restaurants in there that
have
are
got
a Michelin star.
stars. Yeah, incredible food.
Fascinating.
You didn't know any- you didn't
No,
know
I
any of
didn't.
it.
Do you know, the only experience I've got of a tasting menu is when I watch Below Deck. And the swanky people go on the yacht, and they're like, "We want a tasting menu," and the chef's there. He's like, "I got 10 courses to do. It's a nightmare. I'm on my own." And but they all come out, and it's like the first course, here's like a dollop of nothing. But then by the 8th course, they're all like popping a button. They're full.
Can I tell you,
don't think I can
love
handle
Below
it.
Deck.
Isn't it the best?
I just love the way Australians always call it below dick. It's all below dick. I want to be on dick. Really? What are you talking about?
Great programme. I don't know if they've ever had a Below Deck round the Canaries yet. They should do one. We should bring them
Yeah,
over.
but they've been to Spain and Ibiza. They do
have,
the Med,
yeah,
don't they?
they
Captain
do.
Sandy's very regularly
That's
round there.
right,
See,
yeah.
just to prove I watch it.
I'd rather bring Captain Jason.
So how do you how do you book the gastro?
So you need to get to the Spring Hotel's website, get to the Arona Gran and go through there.
I think there's a link on the Canarian Weekly.
There
website.
is a link on the Canarian Weekly website, so yeah, make sure.
My stomach's rumbling now. We were talking about that.
I think you should get it booked on.
I think so.
One more thing that I would like to mention, guys, if you don't mind, I'm
No.
obviously talking about things to do. This weekend on Sunday, there's a charity day. Now, I know that a lot of people in the Canaries, and especially Tenerife, we all support each other when it comes to charity, especially the entertainers on the island and self-employed people who, when they are ill or can't work, everyone comes together to kind of raise some money to just make their life just slightly easier. And there's one happening this Sunday for Natalie Stafford.
Oh, yeah.
She broke her back,
Oh, my
guys.
goodness.
I mean,
I asked John how this happened,
I know everything.
and it was quite a random way. It was roller skating, wasn't it?
I went round to see her, and I was crying with laughter. What she was telling me, and I was like, "You broke your back, Natalie. I'm sorry, I'm laughing." She was, "No, it was really funny." So yeah, basically she was roller skating. Long story short, kind of went down a little ramp. There was a little lip. She slipped and just landed on her bum, and her back just crunched. I mean, I think she won't mind me talking about it.
Yeah, because he said afterwards she's actually been in a full body brace, and it's really serious. And we all know here how people do get together, how as a community we support each other, and particularly in these sort of times. Yeah. So it's another one that just proves how. I'd like to say how we've all got each other's back, but Natalie won't mind me saying that. She's got a good sense of humour.
I think she'd appreciate it, if I'm honest.
So where is it? When is it? What's happening?
Right, so the Night Owl in Las Americas.
Where is that?
So I believe...
I hear a lot about it, but is it near the market? Or is it near...
Las Americas. I don't know where the Las Americas market is.
Near Moonlight, sort of that area?
No, it's Las Americas.
How is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's like... I feel like it's opposite Monkey Beach.
Okay. Around
there somewhere. I mean, I probably should check that because I'm going and I'm part of it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's around there. So it's 4 till 7. There's going to be stuff on for families, loads of acts and entertainers, a bit of some fun games to get involved in and ways that you can support Natalie and her challenge, because obviously she can't work for a while being an entertainer on the island.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
And what acts are on?
At the moment, I'm not 100% sure. They were confirming last I checked.
So if you're part of it, what are you doing?
I am doing a kids' silent disco.
What does that mean? Keeping kids silent?
Well, no, Chris. I mean, it would be lovely, wouldn't it? So basically, what I'm doing, I work for Silent Adventures, and we have all the headsets and everything. So basically,
I've been
I'm
on
doing.
It. I came on it. I actually came on it in Boxing Day, and you had me literally dancing in the street, which is so out of my comfort zone because I can't dance, as you know.
Well, you can actually.
But
I'm sorry.
It was brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a lot of
I
fun.
did it twice when the original incantation.
You
that was in
didn't
Los
you? You did.
And to be
have a
honest, it's something, we're talking about Tenerife and we're going to come on to things to do on different episodes, but that is something to do over here that is cheap, fun, and doesn't take up much time.
No.
It's only,
and
an hour
suitable
long?
for an hour, and it's suitable for all ages.
groups.
Everybody can come and get involved.
You can definitely say that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, so what I'm doing on Sunday, though, is I'm more doing just a kids' disco. We're not doing the adventure aspect of it. I just thought, do some games, some dances, but with the headphones on.
So does that mean we can watch the kids doing all the actions to Superman and Agadoo and not hear the music?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Thank
epic.
goodness.
That's
Isn't that a
absolutely
dream?
epic.
Isn't that just so you can sit and enjoy your beer, your cocktail, whatever, and just every now and again the kids might go, woohoo.
Steve, where's the Night Owl?
So the Night Owl is right where Jen said. It's at Monkey Beach.
Yep.
So on that T-junction, it's just to the right of Monkey Beach, near the Troyer Hotel.
And I think it's down some steps.
Yes.
So
Right,
I've heard that.
By where Banana Garden used
That's
to be,
correct,
and
that's
Chili's
exactly
and all
it,
those.
yeah.
So I think
Yes,
the
of course
kids
it is.
kind of safe in this. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that's what's going on this week. I think we should get into it because, Chris, you are quite knowledgeable when it comes to the news in Tenerife and the Canary Islands. So let's find out what's going on and what's the latest. So, Chris.
Yes.
What we thought we'd like to do on the Tenerife Pod is bring you and your expertise in as somebody that knows pretty much everything and you've got your finger on the pulse. And not only that, you understand it all in a way that not everyone can, which I find is something great about the Canary Weekly. It takes the news and explains it in a nice, easy way for people like me, the average Joe, to understand. What's the latest stories at the moment?
Well, obviously the one that we have to mention is the seismic activity at Mount Teide.
Okay.
It's actually at Cañadas del Teide, which is part of the Teide National Park. It's not directly below the Teide Peak, if you like. It's slightly to one side, but it's obviously made national news in the UK. It's something that's being seriously monitored over here. Now, we live on a volcanic or an active volcanic island. All the Canary Islands are active, yeah? We've obviously had two recent eruptions in different islands. You had La Palma 5 years ago, and about 15 years ago, the underwater volcano at El Hierro erupted as well.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and that's still churning out gases now. However, Teide always makes the news. Why? Because it's the third highest, or it's the highest point in Spain and third highest in the world from peak to base below the sea. And obviously, being a huge holiday or tourist destination, people are always going to write about it, be concerned about it if anything happens. Now, there has been several seismic swarms since 2016, so in the last 10 years. However, normally you are reporting on several hundred different tremors, small earthquakes. These last 3 weeks, we've had several thousand. We've had over 6,000 tremors and small earthquakes recorded by the IGN and by Involcan in the area of Mount Teide. Now, what they're saying is that it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have an eruption. It means that the volcano is moving into a slightly different phase of activity. So there is trapped gas, trapped fluids, which obviously cause rumbles, cause movement. You could say that Teide's got a bit of trapped wind, which would be
indigestion, yeah.
be one way of describing it. The risk level as far as an eruption in the short or medium term, which the short or medium term is the next 50, 75 years, has not been raised. So they're not expecting any eruptions. All right? Now, Involcan and IGN are also keen to emphasise that Teide is the most monitored volcano in the world.
Okay.
The most monitored volcano in the world. Now just think about it for a second, because obviously there's volcanoes everywhere, and there's ones we know that go off regularly.
Yeah.
Also, the equipment they use these days is far more sensitive, far more technical, and can measure far more. They've just brought in some new stuff this last week, which monitors everything in real time to an extent that in 32 hours, they measured 6,000 different events of tremor. All right? Now, 15 years ago, these wouldn't have even registered.
Yeah.
The technology didn't exist to such an extent 15 or 20 years ago. On the Richter scale, it would only register something at a certain level.
Yeah, if it was above sort of 1.4, 1.7,
Yeah.
it would register.
So it's not necessarily that there's more, there's just more being registered.
It's a bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, they are acknowledging there is definitely more. But yes, they are able now to register right down to 0.4 as a magnitude, yeah?
Okay.
Now, none of these will be felt by the public. Yes, there was one of 4.1. I know it's been reported at 4.3, 4.4, but it was actually 4.1 confirmed, which is in the Enmedio volcano, which is in between, underwater in between Tenerife and Gran Canaria. And that one was felt by over 100 different areas of the two islands, including close to where we are here in San Miguel. But that is not related to Teide.
Okay.
All right, so there's nothing to be concerned about at the moment. Yes, they're monitoring it. Yes, they have got specialist departments who are looking at it. Yes, they've brought in new equipment, but they're not expecting anything to happen.
Don't believe the absolute sensationalist stuff that's been coming out. And I will quote, sue me if you want to, GB News, but you're one of the worst for it. The photograph they used was La Palma, with all of the lava coming out of it.
Yep, correct.
And their headline was absolute clickbait gold. And it's like, holiday destination in danger and all of this sort of stuff. And I read it and I went, that doesn't sound right, because you're making it sound like any second now that thing's going to go pop and we're all going to get covered in lava.
I mean, it was going to be my question to you, Chris. Like, should we be worried? Because literally the other day in my girls' group chat, we were chatting about something, and someone said, "Do you know, I keep seeing all this. Like, I'm starting to get a bit worried." And I feel like not long ago there was, so you know, Tenerife has a plan of action if like.
Yeah.
And we all kind of felt like, do you know what? I keep seeing more and more. Should we? Getting worried?
There's always been a plan of action, which
Okay.
they've updated. But what they actually did was a simulation in Garachico on the north coast. And the reason they did it that side is because that was the last place that got affected through Pico de Viejo, Pico de Teide, from the last eruption in 1909. And that is the side, if there was to be an eruption, they envisage that it will actually take place.
It's not going to go, because most people assume a volcano like that is going to go out the top, pop like that.
Yeah.
And actually, the 1909 one was on the side, and it just sort
Yeah, I
of
mean, we
slipped
can
down.
see the Peak of Teide from our office. If we look out the
Yeah.
window, we can see it. You're not going to sit here, Jen, and see the top of that volcano spurting. But you know
It'd be
what?
great for Instagram.
You say it'd be great for Instagram. The amount of people who've come up to me and spoken about it and gone, do you know what? If it was like La Palma with slow-moving lava and nobody, it'd be great for tourism. And you have to go,
You kind of...
okay.
You can imagine people getting on the bandwagon and saying, right, I don't know, let's get a helicopter and fly people over, or let's get jeeps and go and drive too. There are plenty of places, Vesuvius, for example. There's a place in Mexico as well. They do tourism, and they do tourism, and they'll do these visits to as close as you're allowed to get to the volcano. And I could imagine people taking that opportunity to
I
make
suppose
it quick.
in my head, again, as the average Joe kind of person, I think volcano eruption, chaos, panic, like movie, Hollywood, blockbuster. But in reality, it's probably a lot slower.
Yeah, but
okay,
also
I've got time.
people are also getting the possibility of an eruption mixed up with the plates or the ravine in La Palma that Horizon Programme did years ago, where they said half of La Palma can fall into the sea and cause a 1,000-foot, 1,000-mile-an-hour tidal wave to the east coast of America. They're getting that mixed up.
Yeah.
The two, even with the eruption in La Palma, it wasn't affected. It's completely different, separate incidents. But I will say that, they are keeping close eyes on it. I mean,
It has to happen, doesn't it? At some point,
Eventually,
it's going to
yeah,
happen.
Eventually, but
Wasn't it like that? I remember this as a TUI rep. They used to say it happens every about 100
About
years,
every 100 years.
sure.
and we're over that now.
We are, but at the same time, The other telltale sign that something's going to happen is the land rises. All right, the actual ground rises. Now, the ground around this area in Teide has only risen 1 centimetre. Just before it happened in La Palma, the ground actually rose by 30 centimetres.
Wow, okay.
A foot. Now, that when you think about that, that's huge. You know?
Yeah.
So, again, they're not expecting anything.
So I will reply to the group chat. Don't panic. Just keep an eye on the Canary Weekly.
Colleagues of mine have done the same thing where they've said, Steve, you work on the radio and you work in the news and things. What's going on? Are we? Because what they're expecting is what's called the pyroclastic flow, which is your classic Hollywood Pompeii moment.
Absolutely.
Where it goes and we're all vaporized in a matter of seconds. And actually, it's trying to reassure people that it's not that kind of volcano. There are different types of volcano with different types of lava. I think I mentioned.
And also, it's not that kind of movement below it anyway.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think it's important to get the facts straight and not go with the sensationalist stuff that you read in the news in the UK. But they just want to sell newspapers. That's fair enough.
Well, I feel safe now. Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. The second thing I wanted to just mention really is the situation at Puerto Colón.
Okay, tell us about it.
We've had a lot of feedback on this because Puerto Colón is the busiest port for tourists in the whole of the Canaries. 290,000 people use it every year for boat trips, for deep sea fishing trips, for water sports, etc. And Puerto Colón has now introduced new licenses and permits for the boat or the commercial operators. Apparently there's been a lot of boats or a lot of businesses operating without a port authority license or without a permit. And there was a loophole before which meant people could do it.
Right.
Now, obviously, the spin-off effect of that is if there's an issue, it's going to affect the people who are on that boat or with that business or on that parasending or whatever at the time. So there is now coming in new legislation which is going to stop that from happening. Now, people are asking us, does that mean that it's going to affect my boat trips? Does it mean the price is going to go up? Does it mean if I've already booked, I won't be able to go? No, not necessarily, because the ones obviously they've got a grace period to apply and put everything in order. What it will mean, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, is that there will be more control about the boats going out of Puerto Colón into the protected area to see the whales and dolphins, which can't be a bad thing because not many people realise that this coast is a very protected zone for cetaceans.
And actually, there are special licenses for going anywhere near cetaceans. You need to have a particular flag on the boat.
Is it a blue flag or yellow flag or something like that?
And if you don't have one of those, and if you're on one of those boat trips, they're not allowed to go within a certain amount of meters of those pods. You have to have certain training as a boat captain or as a trip.
And what's interesting, if you go on a proper one, and you'll see the captain get upset and annoyed when he sees other boats doing it.
Absolutely.
And they always... So when you see these photos of people taking a picture of a whale a metre from a boat, they shouldn't be there.
Wow, okay.
Unless, and it does happen, and I've been on it, the whale comes to you.
Yeah.
Which they do. I know.
And actually, I was on a brilliant boat trip with a captain who's got one of those flags and is... really conscious of where the boats and the dolphins, so it's common dolphins. So we were going at quite a pace because we weren't looking for dolphins, and all of a sudden they popped up on the bow of the ship and were going with us, and it's amazing to see. But again, not planned and we weren't looking for dolphins; they just appeared at the front of the boat.
Well, I mean, the advice I'd give is go with the bigger operators.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go with the ones have been there a long time, the ones that operate. It doesn't mean go on the big boats. You don't have to do that. But it does mean that some of the private charters and some of these aren't necessarily operating correctly. I can't name any. I'm not going to name any. It's not for us to do so.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's a good thing they're bringing this in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet you used to get this as well, Steve, as a TUI rep, like people complaining if they didn't see anything.
Yes. But actually,
as if you're meant to like
the
lure them out.
It's the way you sell it. So what we used to do in those welcome meetings is to say, listen, there's a great chance you will usually see something, but if you don't, hey, it's nature. It's one of those things.
But don't a lot of the boats actually offer a second trip if you don't see them?
Do they?
Again, the bigger operators will, if you don't see anything, they'll give you a voucher to come back on board and have another go.
Oh, that's good, isn't it?
Because obviously people don't realise that it's only one of 3 places in the world here where it's the natural breeding ground for pilot whales. So the chances of seeing the pilot whales are really, really high. Other resorts can't turn around and offer that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they're not as guaranteed to see something. So I think
in their natural environment.
And over the years, I think I have lost count of how many boat trips I've done, because we were always allowed to go on the boats, and we would take new reps who were coming in order to sell it. It's obviously better to go on it. So I've been probably nearly 100 boats, and I can honestly tell you, I have never not seen anything here.
I used to have my own boat.
You did?
Yes.
I remember you telling me this story.
I've still got it. It's still in the shed.
Yeah, I've known you for 10 years and you never fail to surprise me. Like, what are you doing with a boat in the shed? Like, what you...
Well, it broke down. I've never fixed it, but it's still there.
It's such a man
She's called
thing.
Katie.
I'm getting around to it. Why?
That was called Katie when I bought it.
Oh, and you were worried it might not remember its name if you tried to change it.
No, seriously, I can't remember why I bought it. They always say, don't they, the best day of your life is when you sell your boat.
Yes.
The second best day of your life is when you buy it. You know, and it had a 7.5 litre V8 engine, which was brilliant because it really went fast, but also drank a lot of fuel and broke down a lot, and unfortunately broke down. And it was over COVID that I left it there, and it's
still there, still in the shed.
Is it? That's
Oh,
crazy. I'm not really
there's
interested
a
in
good,
boats.
there's a good segue if ever I've given you one.
And if you are interested in buying a boat, Chris can probably sell it to you.
I mean, I'd be interested in going on a boat if it was a below deck style. Other than that,
Okay,
I'm not
yeah.
really bothered. Right, let's get on to our
There's
feature.
so many jokes there, isn't it?
Really was. I bit my tongue, it's nearly bleeding.
Do you know what? Then we're just going to move on. I'm in charge of the stings and I'm going to play the sting. I'm going to play the sting. How is Tenerife different in COVID/Brexit? So our feature topic today, I mean, we are coming up to nearly 6 years since we
Believe it.
first went into lockdown. And Covid and Brexit is something that is mentioned still now all the time, and it's something I feel that so many people have an opinion on. Can you guys remember where you were and what you were doing when we first went into lockdown?
Yeah, strange days. I seem to remember the end of the world feeling in the February when we had that Kalima. Do you remember
Yeah,
the
and it was all
Sky
red.
Kalima? Everything was just absolutely
Felt like an
weird.
apocalypse.
It really did.
It was. And working for TUI at the time, obviously, the planes were grounded for danger of the engines and the visibility was poor. So the start of that whole period started off really badly because all of the managers had to go to the airport. Everybody was at the airport. It was all hands on deck. Then it calmed down and the Kalima went away. And we thought, oh, thank God for that. And then... bizarrely, I was living in La Caleta, so my hotels were in that general area next to the Hideaway Suites and the H10 and all the rest of it, the reuse. And I got a phone call at about 6:30 in the morning, which is very early, from the 24-hour hotline they have in Palma in Mallorca. So if you've got a problem with a holiday, you can phone the 24 hours a day. And they phoned me and they said, we've had some feedback from the guests at the H10, Costa Rica, that they've had a note put through the door saying, do not leave your rooms. And I'm like,
Wow.
that's particularly strange. So I put my uniform on, got in the car, drove round to go into the hotel and find out what the heck was going on. Couldn't get near the
Police
place.
everywhere, wasn't there?
Absolute
Yeah.
road closed.
Remember.
Blue lights flashing. Police stopped me and said, where are you going? And I just sort of pointed and went, TUI, I'm going.
The press were everywhere, including me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know you at this point,
No,
Steve,
that's right. We
But
hadn't
I first started writing about COVID for the Canarian Weekly. I remember it vividly. It was on January 31st, 2020. And it was because the first case in Spain was in La Gomera. It was
That's
an
right, I
Italian
remember
doctor.
that. Yeah.
Blah,
A
blah, blah.
random place to get
Yeah,
it.
it was
like,
on
how
holiday.
crazy.
Well, if you remember, although it started in China, Italy was the most affected
Yeah, I
place.
do.
And this was an Italian on holiday in La Gomera. So this is where it came about. And that was when we first wrote about it. And nothing really happened over here much because they contained it. And we, had the world map up, which showed how many cases from the WHO, and there wasn't many. Until, I think it was 27th of February, wasn't it? The
Something
hotel
like that.
went into lockdown.
Yeah, so we'd had a meeting just after that story broke
Yeah.
with TUI to say, right, we've had information about this potential virus that's going around that could affect our travellers worldwide. So as a travel company, we have to make sure that we've got things in place. So I had heard about it, but it was very much, it won't affect us. It's in China. What would we, but we'd had information. That day, it was confirmed that the guests were also Italian, a family of 7.
really?
And he was a doctor.
That was it. That's where the doctor
so
was.
He was a doctor. He was with 6 of his family members, and the 7 of them had got this thing. So that immediately, the hotel went into lockdown. And I remember in the days after
because
that,
I think in total with the staff there was about 1,000 people in there, wasn't there?
Easily 1,000 people. The hotel was virtually full up, and so the first thing we had to do was to make sure the rep that had been visiting the day before had gone and got tested, and making sure that she wasn't at risk in any way of contracting it, because obviously she'd done her duties, finished at 5 o'clock for the day, and was due to go back that morning of the lockdown, of the hotel being locked down. But
this is before the general lockdown.
Yeah, way before the general lockdown.
3 weeks.
Yeah, weeks before. But it was also very hush-hush. It's like we can't mention this. We can't say that this hotel is in lockdown until probably a few days afterwards, when the Daily Mail decided that they wanted to pay it a visit, and they'd heard of it.
Went in chaos.
And they were really on it. We had long lenses from the side of the road doing pictures, even to the point where I think it was the Daily Mail, it might have been one of the other ones, hired a paraglider, you know, the guys that jump off the thing, to fly over the hotel with a paraglider so that they could take photographs of.
Why don't they just use a drone?
That's a good point, but they didn't. They hired a paraglider to go and look. And the story broke that this hotel's in lockdown, but they're all still around the pool. And
so what happened? What happened with getting people out of there? Because after a while, they let people go home, didn't they?
So they'd been monitoring, they'd been doing regular testing and things like that. So one of our tasks was to get all of those TUI guests out of the hotel and to the airport so that they could go home. Everybody had to have another test. All the tests were being... And it was really bizarre, because we turned up to the hotel with one of the coaches, and we waited by the service entrance at the back, and they would let people out with a certificate, they'd get a stamp, and then the police would allow them to go onto the coach. And they were doing it very slowly, because they were really meticulously checking everything. We ended up with a coach load of people, and then we drove our way to the airport. I was assuming we were just going to drop at the airport like we always do,
in the usual place,
normal people. Yeah. And the driver said to me, no, we're going somewhere else, because, again, the first coach that had gone to the airport was mobbed by paparazzi and newspapers trying to get stories, trying to buy the news story off of those people getting off that coach. They were offering money for these people to
like physical cash?
Yeah, they were offering the money. Well, if you sit down with us, we'll give you 500 quid or whatever it was to tell your story. So
they'd have done that.
I'd have snapped their hand right off.
So the decision was taken that from then on, every other coach is going to go somewhere else. And we went to a part of the airport.
Hang on. What do you mean somewhere else? Is there another part of the airport?
So another part of the airport I have never seen. So when you drive to the airport and you get to the roundabout and you just veer off to the parking, if you go round that roundabout a little bit further, it says cargo. But it's not cargo. It's a VIP terminal. It is a separate terminal.
Stop it. Why have I never experienced that?
It's not, don't get me wrong, it's not very big. You probably can get 50 people in there, 60 people in there. There's enough seats and things, but it has its own...
So is this like when dignitaries come in, or celebrities come in, or private jets?
Yeah,
or
exactly that. So it has access directly to the apron of the taxiway. So it goes straight out onto the runway almost. And it's got its own metal detector, its own luggage scanner, so you can put your cases through everything.
So literally all the guests were going VIP exit to bypass everything.
Yep.
Wow.
They never stepped foot in the main terminal. They got a bus, one of those plane buses, to take them to the...
But they were fuming they didn't go and get the duty free.
They were actually... Do you know what? Bizarre, because also they were provided with water and snacks and things like that. The airport had provided all the water and snacks for them. They were loving it.
I was going to say, I think they were just happy to be going home.
That was, I think, the main thing. It's like,
I'd be like, my perfume!
They'd spent a week shut in a hotel, not allowed to leave. I think they were just glad to get out and about and get on the plane and go home.
Story. Fantastic
story.
Fantastic
story. But now I know a part of the airport that I didn't know before. So
well, let's be honest. I mean, that's their experience from leaving the island. I mean, if we're talking about how Tenerife has changed since Brexit and COVID, interestingly, I mean, I remember where I was when COVID happens out with friends, but our last physical copy of the Canarian Weekly was on Friday the 13th of March. And the front line said about lockdown and we'll be back in a couple of weeks, which we never printed again. But At the time, I remember talking to people and saying to them that long-term wise, Brexit was going to have more of an impact. I'm not going to say negative effect, because some things are better, some things are worse. More of an impact on the island than COVID. What do you think? What's your opinion, Jen?
I mean, I think I'm one of the people that at the time, the whole Brexit thing, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really, I couldn't really grasp, what it could mean or whatever. And I think that in the point in my life when everything was sort of going on, I was going through a big, personal change in regards, becoming a mother. So, I think for me, changes in Tenerife were happening anyway. Obviously, I personally feel that the thing that affected my life most was COVID over Brexit.
Well, you obviously weren't working.
No.
Were you?
No,
So,
I remember I came in for the first maybe week or so because there was a bit of a grey area because we were media that I was allowed to work, and then it obviously turned out no. So yeah, it was.
I mean, were you
lovely
were you as a rep, Steve? Were you still working?
Yes. So we. It's so weird with everyone was locked down, no cars on the road, but also there was this sense of real fear because the police could stop you and ask you, why are you out in your car? So we had to have special
I had the same,
permissions to be out and about as essential workers. You're driving from hotel to hotel, or you're going to meet a coach to take people to the airport to do these. We called them repatriation flights, which sounds really bad, but it was. We were rescuing people and sending them home. But it was really eerie to be out and about in that.
I loved it. I must admit. I was I was fortunate in the fact that I was able to work. Yeah. As a business owner, obviously, everyone involved with Oasis, Canary Weekly, etc., were on. They call it ERTI over here, which is the same as furlough, isn't it? In the UK. And I had the paperwork to work and actually got to know the police. I mean, the one good thing is you could drive anywhere and you could park anywhere. But and I was in a relationship at the time, and I think it stopped us going mental. Because let's be honest, it was, I must admit I enjoyed working because it was quite intense. I was the only one who came to work, and I did come and still do the radio. And it was great, had some great fun. Obviously, there were serious repercussions, and self-employed people will still know those are still going on. I'm in the same position. But actual lockdown, I mean, we obviously had it stricter than the UK. There was at first no hour exercise. No, you weren't allowed to take your kids out. The only thing you're allowed to do, you're allowed to take your dog for a walk. Yeah. And I know people who were renting dogs out.
I borrowed a dog.
Did you?
I borrowed a dog. My next door neighbour, I could hear, because for months that I'd lived there before, it was like, that bloody dog's barking again. And then lockdown came and I knocked on the door and went, can I borrow your dog?
No, seriously, people, I know dogs who were being taken out 6 or 7 times a day. The poor dog was knackered.
I just love that no matter what's going on in the world, someone will find a way. I can make some money out of this.
As Brits, we have to find a loophole.
Yeah, find a loophole.
But no, seriously. And so at first, obviously, lockdown was a lot stricter than it was in the UK. If you remember, we had the army and the police coming round at night time with tannoys. They checked your shopping receipts to make sure you weren't further away from your home. I know people who got fined. Yeah.
And people were getting only going shopping for essential items. So you couldn't literally just go and buy a bottle of wine or it had to be, something that you needed. At
your nearest supermarket.
And I live in quite a small little area. There was still most of the time a police with a gun and stuff outside. It's quite.
I remember living in La Caleta, and I didn't have a car at the time as well because I had a company car and we had to give all our company cars back because we were on furlough or ERTI, whatever it was called. So I used to walk only 3 or 4 minutes, but it was a spa and it was a tourist spa. So you can imagine the pricing of things in there. But it was the only place I had. The only place I could go was my local supermarket.
I think coming out of COVID, it was great when we were allowed out, because what holidaymakers may not realise is although the UK opened and everyone was allowed to go outside and do things and go back to work and all the rest of it, people still couldn't travel. So we had the situation with the island where we were allowed out, but there was no one here. A lot of places were still closed, and we had the place to ourselves. And people who'd lived here 10 years and never been out of Los Cristianos, all of a sudden were discovering, wow, what a beautiful island this is.
I just drive places and be like, I can never park here. I'm just going to go and check out all these parking spaces that I can now make the most of.
But if we're talking about differences, I think the main one obviously has got to be the 90-180 travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting how many people turned around and said they voted to leave the EU, but they didn't realise what the repercussions were going to be and how it was going to affect them. And obviously, you know, that has had a... I remember I got invited to go to... I'm going to name drop here, hope you don't mind. Got invited to go to the Queen's Jubilee at the British Ambassador's residence in Madrid, which is in a really exclusive part where footballers live. It's amazing. There's a big red telephone box outside and guards and all the rest of it. And it was Hugh Elliott at the time, and I had permission to interview him. So we asked listeners what questions, you might remember this, Jen.
Kind of, yeah.
We asked listeners what questions they'd like us to ask him. Because at the time, if you remember, there was so much talk about driving licences where people said, no, you're not going to have to do that. As residents, we're not going to have to change our driving licence. Yeah, you did. And if you didn't, some people actually had to take a test.
Yeah.
You know? And it's the same now with the green residency and TIE, which we can come on to in a bit. And Swallows was one of the main ones.
Yeah.
That, you know, we were asked, can you please ask from point of view of people who own properties over here and are Swallows, what they're going to do, because we are such an important market. Now, they are an important market in respect that thousands of properties across Spain, not just in the Canary Islands, are owned by expats, owned by people who don't live in the Canary Islands, Tenerife, the Canary Islands, Spain. However, as far as contributing to the economy, they're not seen as a big market, because very often, yes, they'll come here for a long time. However, they're not contributing in the same way as holidaymakers do. Yeah. They're not contributing in the same way as probably residents do, because if they're here for previously 4 or 5 months, they're coming on a budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we asked the question, said, you know, what legislation, nothing, absolutely nothing. Now, I know I've got an opinion on how the 9180 should work, because at the time everyone was very confused about this 90 days out of 180 days and what happens if I stay longer. And we know people have, because it's been a bit lax. That will change with the new EES electric gates and all the rest of it. But I think that if you're a property owner, i.e. you're a Swallow, you're somebody who lives in the UK, who owns a property over here, I still think you should be governed by the 180 days, because that's always been in place. Whether or not people have taken it on board, that's always been there.
Okay.
Because if you're in a place longer, you need to be a tax resident of that country. Yeah. That's not just here, that's globally, effectively, isn't it? I do feel, though, if you own a property, if you own an apartment in Los Cristianos or Las Americas or the Gulf or wherever, you should be able to use your 180 days flexibly.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that makes sense, yeah. And I think... because... How would you feel like people would use it if they could use it flexibly then?
Yeah, I firmly believe that, because, you know, when a lot of people ask in a lot of the tourist forums and Facebook pages and things like that, how on earth does this work? Well, they even had to come up with a Schengen, because it's the Schengen area, calculator. So you, as a person who was travelling, you could type in, right, I'm going here on this date and I'm coming back on this date. When can I then... And people are using that as much as they can, a calendar, to plan their journeys, which you previously wouldn't have to do. You would just turn up and stay for a bit and then go. But as Chris said, the tax resident thing was always at a certain point. I think it was like 182 days. Yeah. So there was always that you could stay 180 days. And if you did 181 days, you didn't have to register as a tax resident, because it was on the 182nd day you had to. So people were doing that and spending that time, but it still confuses people all these years. I mean,
I understand that people want to come here for the winter to get away from the cold weather. That's primarily the reason they bought their property, and I understand they feel hard done by, but I just think it would be a sensible compromise. I mean, what you're saying is, if you come here on holiday and don't own a property, you just come on holiday, you come to the Schengen, you can 90 out of 180 days, then you've got to go back and reset and this, that and the other. However, if you spend over $500,000 on a property, you can get a golden visa and become a full-time resident. Well, hang on a minute. What about all these people who've invested in the country and can't?
Yeah.
I just think it would be a sensible thing to say, okay, midway, you own a property here, but you live in the UK. Yes, in this country where you own, not the whole Schengen, in the country you own, So if you own in Tenerife,
you
can come to Tenerife when you want to a maximum of 180 days without having to worry about the 90 out of 180. And I just think that would be a real sensible way of doing it. Now, okay, with these new EES gates, which is, we have to talk about travel.
This is a hot topic at the moment, and I don't think I've travelled since they've kind of been in place. So
well, it doesn't affect you.
No.
Because you hold a TIE, you're a resident of this country. But if you're not, then obviously there's questions you have to answer, you have to fill in. You've got to do your eye and fingerprint and thumbprint and everything else. And this isn't just here, this is everywhere across Europe. And the gates become mandatory from the 10th of April. So we're only just over a month away, and there's obviously still complications. And ironically, the questions that you're going to be asked are questions that have always been there for third national countries. Yeah. So when Britain left the EU, I mean, previously, if you're flying in from other countries that fell under this, you had to prove that you got enough money to come for your stay. You had to prove that you had a ticket to go home. You had to show where you were staying. And these are the standard questions and things you have to fill in.
This hasn't been invented for the British market, which some people feel. They feel like just because we left the EU, Spain are punishing us. No, that's always been the case. Yes. It's just that we weren't a third country at the time, so we didn't experience it.
So it didn't. That's why the Irish don't need to.
Yeah.
Got an Irish passport. Yeah. So with the EES machines, then once you've registered, it lasts for, I think, 3 years. Yeah. And you don't have to do it again. You can just go straight to the e-gate because you've registered. It shows you've. If you try it and you haven't, you've got to go and do it, and you can go straight through. And if you're a resident, there's going to be a separate queue. And obviously, if you're a member of the EU, it's a separate queue as well. So it is something that's coming in mandatory. The problem is that this transition period, which was for 6 months, we're 5 months into it now. Not all the machines are being used. Not all the machines are working. So when you get a busy time, now we've all used the airport, all three of us have been reps, we know how it works with flights, we still have to go and pick people up, and we know that if you've got 4 or 5 flights from the UK coming in, it can be a problem.
Absolutely, and there are 2 particular days, especially with UK flights, from all of the airlines, so it's not just TUI holiday makers or Jet2 holiday makers, we're talking budget airlines as well, so your Ryanairs and your EasyJets. Tuesdays and Fridays in a particular 2 or 3 hour slot is really, really busy. And you can get 5 flights coming in within an hour of each other, all of them containing at least 300 people, if not more, depending on what the aircraft is, all arriving within that short space of time and all joining the end of a queue. So yes, it's going to be a particularly busy one. When you see people, and they do complain about this, and there are long queues, so I can imagine their frustration. It's usually on a Tuesday or a Friday, but then you get people showing off and going, well, it only took me 30 minutes. Yeah, but you came on Sunday afternoon.
This is going to be my point. There's obviously people going, look at this, how crazy is it? And it's like, this is lies. I was here yesterday. And of course, because different times are going to cause different problems.
Those 2 peak days, particularly. So if you're booking a holiday and you want to pick a flight day, Tuesdays and Fridays avoid.
I didn't realise that was still a thing, actually, the Tuesday and the Friday main flight. I know it used to be when I was repping years ago, but I didn't actually realise that Tuesday, Friday thing was still a thing.
Friday particularly, because Friday was the timeshare changeover day.
Yeah.
So when you did your weeks on timeshare, it was Friday to Friday. Yes, it's more flexible now, and obviously things with more daily flights, booking.com and all the rest of it, but still Tuesday and Friday are the 2 main times that you get bottlenecks.
And airline planning hasn't changed much in 30 years, in terms of 20 years, in terms of the flights coming in and that window of those flights coming in. Because don't forget, you've also got, particularly on a Friday, a lot of German flights are also landings, but slightly different because they haven't got the same passport issues. Yeah. But you still have those people arriving into the airport.
So what advice would you give to people if they're travelling?
I think if you're travelling, especially if you're at the booking stage, try and avoid Tuesdays and Fridays. If you're coming on holiday for a week, do Sunday to Sunday. Sunday's a beautiful day at the airport. It's really calm. So if you can pick Sunday to Sunday, do that and avoid the Tuesdays and Fridays.
Also as well, don't stay in the pub till the last second before you need to go through passport control, because we've got to remember there is now an extra passport control security.
I always forget that. I'm not always, I'm getting better now, but when it was quite new, I was like, oh my God, Jeff, I've got to do that. And then I have been in the position. Jen,
to be honest, a lot of the footage you're seeing in the queues are of that.
Just people going, oh God,
not just of arrivals. And when you talk about people missing their flight, it's actually that one going back Yeah, because they're leaving it too late.
Well, there was a story, I know it was Lanzarote, not Tenerife, but there was a story in the Canarian Weekly recently where 89 passengers got left because they were still in that queue, and Ryanair decided to, instead of wait for them, use the time to remove their luggage from the plane and just left them there.
It's quite expensive.
Because they couldn't guarantee when they were going to be through. Because not all 89 were together. They couldn't.
No.
And also, if you've already had the last call warnings put out, I mean, it's a bit like cruise ships. I mean, obviously, cruise tourism is huge over here as well. We know that the mooring fees for cruise, if they overstay their welcome, is huge, and that's why boats leave without people.
Yeah. Right.
But people seem to have this mentality going, well, I've got my ticket, I've got my boarding pass, they're going to wait for me. Now, you've both been reps at the airport. Is that the case?
No, absolutely not. Once you miss a flight slot, it's solely down to the air traffic control when they'll allow you to get out.
Yeah.
And don't forget, working in air traffic control is really, really strict for safety reasons. So you can't just jump the queue and say, oh, I'm Ryanair here, we missed our slot early, can we just jump in? It doesn't work like that. And the cost of it as well, airlines are fined for missing flight slots.
Like I've said, it's been a little while since I've actually been at the airport, but what I found, I'm wondering why people are waiting so long to go through to that bit, is because there's not a lot going off in the airport in that sort of new bit once you go through the second passport control. So do you think people are waiting to do the things like the duty free,
but
dinner?
there's still restaurants, there's still a duty free shop there.
is, yeah.
And the main thing is, if you go through, you won't miss your flight.
Just go would be the advice.
Yeah, it strikes me as mad. It strikes me as madness because as somebody who's travelled extensively, so I've taken a lot of flights in my time, is I have an unnecessary panic about missing a plane. I've never done it, and I don't want to do it. I've been close, really close, trying to get across Madrid airport to join a British Airways flight, and my bag never made it, but I did because I was running it was like a rom-com. Hold the gate! I'm running with this thing. It's
like Friends, was it?
Yeah, I was running, and I got on board. But that's as much as I want to do. So I make sure I arrive within plenty of time. I know check-in, if your check luggage doesn't open until 2 hours before.
They're very strict about that now. Like, I went back just last year and got told, it's a bit crazy at the airport. So I was like, I want to get there a bit early. I was an EasyJet flight and they wouldn't let me check in before 2 hours. And then I was lucky because with the security guys, with families, they let you through in a separate queue. So I didn't have to queue that long. I still ended up having to pretty much go straight through. So there isn't a lot of time anyway. Especially if the check-in if they're gonna be that strict on the 2 hours.
So the check-in staff don't arrive until 2 hours before the flight. You're already, get yourself into the queue though.
But if you've only got hand luggage, you can get to the airport 3 hours before and take your time if you really want to.
Yeah.
I actually tend to these days, I must be honest.
Yeah.
But going back to, obviously from the point of view of people who come to visit here, arrivals is obviously the main issue.
Yeah.
It will get better.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, passport control, it will get better as more people register with the EES system, as more people use it. Because don't forget, if they've registered to go somewhere else and then come here, it's a whole European thing. It's not just here. And this is why it's important not to get the EES and the ETIAS mixed up. Yeah. The ETIAS is the travel permission, a bit like the ETA if you're going to America that you have to pay for, which lasts for 3 years. That's not coming in till at least the 10th of April 2027, because it can't come in till at least a year after the mandatory introduction of the e-gates. Yeah. So there's going to be at least another year for that. Apparently it's going to cost €20, but again, it lasts for 3 years and only runs out after 3 years, or if your passport expires within that period, you have to get a new one. So, but I think the other interesting thing from a point of view of people coming on holiday here is once you've got through passport control, you then meet the taxi queue.
The taxi queue, which again has made a lot of headlines in the UK, but also it's come on the forums an awful lot.
But also you can understand why there's frustration, can't you?
Do you think people travel less now with sort of like, what's the word from...
Transfers.
Transfers, yeah. Do you think people are going more taxis now?
I do, because I believe now the package holiday is not quite as attractive as it used to be.
Yeah.
Still plenty of people taking package holidays, nothing wrong with the package holiday, but people are now doing it themselves.
Having said that, even if people are booking package holidays, very often they're renting cars and not having the transfer.
There's always been that, especially when I was repping in hotels, there's always been that we don't want to take the transfer because they go from the airport to the first hotel in Los Cristianos, and then an hour detour around the resort, stopping at each hotel. Some people will avoid it. So,
which, if you haven't been here before, is a nice way of seeing the resort.
Absolutely.
Unless you,
But the frustration of the taxis is something that needs to kind of be explained as well. Because very often people see taxis come to the airport, drop people off, but then they drive off without picking anyone up.
Yeah.
It seems crazy to me. Why aren't they picking anyone up? Are they like rushing for their tea? Like, what's going on?
If only it was that simple.
If only it was that simple. They're not allowed. So the way that the taxis work here, now all the taxis look very similar. They're all white cars. Back in the old days, I think they were all Mercedes at one point.
They were. All of them were.
All of them Mercedes. But when you look at the airport taxis, in that taxi rank, they all say Granadilla de Abona, because that is the local area of where the airport is. Mm-hmm. And they're only licensed, and they're only allowed and only insured to pick up passengers from that area. So again, a taxi that you get from a decky would drop off. He's not allowed to pick up anybody. Yeah.
So they're not just being...
he's not in that area. So he can only pick up within his own area.
They're not just being grumpy. They literally aren't allowed.
No, they want to pick you up.
Yeah.
They want the work.
you think about it, Jen. You could have a situation where a taxi driver is picked up from, you mentioned the Arona Grande Hotel earlier on.
Yeah.
Taking people to the airport. You could be people there waiting to go to the Arona Grande Hotel, and he can't legally take them.
It's crazy.
Now, what they are looking at doing is bringing in certain times when it's the busiest times. You mentioned Tuesdays and Fridays and so on and so forth, where other municipal cooperativas are allowed to actually pick up from the airport. They were under a saturated, declared saturated time. But obviously, it's very difficult to predict when that is, what time of the year. I mean, you know, we've just obviously had Carnival, and school holidays, which is a massive time. We've got Easter coming up, Semana Santa, which is busier than Christmas for the Spanish. So you'll probably find that weekend that the other taxi drivers are allowed to. Christmas and New Year, yes. But in general, the answer's no. And it's a really antiquated, out of date law, to be honest with you.
Do you feel like it should be something that should get changed? And what do you think that holiday makers could do that are planning on getting a taxi?
We'll put it another way. It's not only with the airport. It's any municipality. Yeah. Yes. So you could have a situation where you're in Torviscus and get dropped off in Los Cristianos. You're in Los Cristianos to get picked up, and he can't pick you up. He has to drive off. That's why they go, no.
There was an incident I witnessed, incidentally, at the Arona Grande. How bizarre, we keep talking about the Arona Grande. But I was sat in reception waiting for somebody else. A granadilla, so obviously somebody who'd been to the airport, drove in, dropped a lady off. A guy stood up with his bags, went towards the taxi driver, and he said, no, I can't. And he drove off empty.
Does that happen to be a couple of weekends ago when we had the Michael Bublé?
Yes, that's exactly.
They were staying in the Arona Grande.
They were, and that's when it was. But it was silly.
It's interesting because it's actually something I didn't know about, and I've been that person. Like, oh, where's he going? He's not even got any lights on green. He's not even got anyone in there. How rude.
And when you think then at night time, you know, when people have had a drink and want to get home and, you know, taxis drop. That's why you have to go to a taxi rank. Yeah. That's why if you try and flag down a taxi and they drive past you and they're empty, it's not that it's not the taxi driver's fault. They can't.
Leave them alone.
They can't legally take you. And it's a stupid rule, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There is, I feel, enough work to go round for all the taxi drivers not to get... And I don't think the taxi drivers get shirty with each
especially
other.
now, because tourism's grown.
Yeah.
You know, let's be honest, there's quiet times of the year you can argue, and obviously they all have their own hours and everything else, but there's definite... I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I feel like we should come on to everyone's favourite subject when it comes to Tenerife. I want to go to our weather expert.
Well, hang on. Is Tenerife better or worse?
Oh.
I just want to know.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're right. We should maybe conclude.
Is Tenerife better or worse?
Worse.
Why?
I think part of the Brexit thing with like staffing and work and jobs and things like that from somebody that... Housing, the prices of everything... Again, like I say, like it's different. My life is entirely different and it's better. But Tenerife itself, part of me would have to say worse. I
think it's worse for residents and business owners on several different levels, because the staffing is only one thing as far as being able to get staff. And let's explain why. It's because people now can't just come over and work. You have to have proper visas or residency, etc. So yeah, I get that. But also cost as well. I mean, the cost of employing people has gone through the roof. And obviously, yes, prices have gone up, but not to the same scale, not to the same proportion. I think as far as being a holidaymaker, I wouldn't say it's better or worse. I would say at the moment, short-term travel's worse, but as a destination, let's be honest, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's definitely exactly, you can still get a euro, €25 a pint if you want it. You can still get a €10 Chinese buffet if you want it. However, I think the standards of things, particularly things like restaurants, bars, beach bars, all that, has improved. So ultimately, has it got better? I think it's got worse for residents and probably the same or slightly better for tourists.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. The whole resurgence from COVID sort of was really nice for us because we had such a long time where it was up in the air or we didn't have much going on, and we have seen the percentage.
Yeah, because when people came back, let's be honest, the whole place went mental.
We're desperate, weren't they?
Everyone was, everyone who came on holiday just went mad.
Yeah.
And and everyone who worked here, lived here, was like, fantastic, it's great.
And then now that things have calmed down and we're sort of, 6 years back in a routine, I have to agree with Chris as a resident, the whole paperwork side of it is more than frustrating. We're now at the point where anybody that had a withdrawal protected TIE, your 5 years is coming up, so you've got to change it for a permanent one. So we're back into that, going to try and get an appointment at the police station, taking paperwork, having to pay again probably, because I can't imagine it'll be free, to get a new card.
Yeah.
But it's something that you...
And some people with driving licences as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, with everesidents, I think it's worse, but tourism, I think, about the same.
So thanks, guys. I want to come on, like I said, to one of, everybody's favourite subject. I want to talk weather. Now, Steve, I know you love a bit of weather, don't you? You are the weatherman of Oasis FM.
Michael Fish.
But the thing is, every time I would phone home, phone my mum and dad, the first question, what's the weather like?
And do you know
what's it doing?
Do you know what's really weird is you've got lots of questions in lots of Tenerife forums. Again, what's the weather like? Okay, some people are asking a little bit too far in advance for my sort of forecasting ability. Yeah, we're due to come over, even as far as May, we're due to come over in May. What's the weather like? It's hard to say, but in general, the weather here is pretty stable. Having come from, my parents live in the mainland, so they have extreme summer temperatures in the 40s, and they have extreme winter temperatures. The last time I was there in February, it was 4 degrees, so it was positively Baltic. But here it's nice and calm. But we also have microclimates here as well, which is what causes individual weather patterns. And certain areas, for example, if you drive from Fanny Bay to San Miguel, the temperature difference in the summer can be 5 or 6 degrees. So it can be 5 or 6 degrees warmer or cooler.
Yeah, this is where, when we write about stuff,
yeah,
and we say, look, in general, the temperature's going to be this and the weather's going to be this in the north and all that, and then people go, it's fine where I am in Kalisavaki.
Yeah.
Or fine where I am. And then you get vloggers who start posting videos going, look how beautiful sunshine it is in Central Las Americas. You've got to remember, those resorts were put there for a reason. That part of the coast, Costa Rica, is the most sun-drenched sunshine hours of any coast in the Canary Islands. Yeah, more than anywhere else in Lanzarote, Fuerteventura. Less wind, more sun, and so on and so forth. So you're going to get that.
It's a beautifully sheltered bay, so you'll get, and that's an individual weather system in itself because there's less wind, which means the clouds that come over it, things like that.
Question just quickly, sorry to interrupt. Why do they, when there is a weather warning that say really strong winds, and it's so strong there's worries of danger, and they basically say, right, all sort of activities are closed, schools are closed, everything. Obviously the weather, it always happens, and I'm there's nothing. It's a bit
and events indoors cancelled.
Yeah, why?
For those who don't know, we had the Elvis gig cancelled when the band were lying by the pool.
Is there no way of sort of localising that a little bit more? Do you not think, or is it just a bit too...
It's coordination.
Yeah.
It's coordination. And also what you have to remember is, although as residents we live in little pockets of areas, whether that be from Los Gigantes through to San Juan, Alcalá, along the coast, to Playa Pereza, Kalisavaki, through to Silencio, Gulf. A lot of other people travel, The amount of people that travel from the north to the south for work.
I forget that, yeah.
Teachers. You think of the teachers that travel. Most teachers who work in the south don't live in the south. They can't afford to. That's a lot of the arguments why they don't want to be relocated here.
Yeah.
Same as nurses, doctors, everything. That's why the TF1 is so congested. Not because there's been accidents, but purely because of the amount of traffic. And this is the argument, another argument about social housing, different things, this, that, and the other. But that's why. It's about travel.
Well, okay. So, Steve, what's happening with the weather at the moment?
Well, we are coming into what's called a Dana, which is an area of coming out of one, which causes a really weird phenomenon because. To get into all the science, I don't really want to, but the jet stream moves in a particular way, and an area of cold air pops out of the warm air, and warm air and cold air don't really like each other in terms of mixing together. So a Dana is a high altitude area of low pressure, which causes things to happen when it meets warm air. Causes rain. Rain is already meeting warm air that's got sand in it from the Kalima, so we have all of that all nasty.
The Spanish call it a cocktail of weather.
A cocktail.
Quite
indeed,
like that description, yeah.
So that's been happening, but it also causes the issues that we've seen with the local coastline. So we had swells at one point last week of 5 or 6 meters, which is a lot. Which is also why those yellow warnings and the weather warnings that you talk about for these sort of things are so important, because danger to life when people are walking coastal paths or they're going to visit natural pools, things like that.
Selfies.
You've got to be aware of your surroundings, even if the weather seems fine. Though that Dana, that area of pressure, is causing the sea to act in a particular way. So it might look great.
I think people forget the sea can be affected from 1,000 miles.
100%.
Thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
The tides aren't just local; they're across the whole ocean, and so the ongoing effect. This is why when weather warnings for example, just today or yesterday they lifted the weather warnings for snow and wind, the coastal warnings are still in place because they're affected not locally, they're not affected by a local microclimate, they're affected out in the Atlantic, they're affected further away. Yeah. And this is why we get so many coastal warnings and why the sea is so dangerous here. We're not the sheltered Med. The Med hardly moves. Yeah. I mean, if you get a six-inch ripple in the Med, that's a big wave. Here, obviously, you're talking of waves up to 7 meters. Now, surfers love it. But if you're stood on a breakwater trying to take a video or a selfie and you get dragged in, this is when people lose lives.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And this is where we've seen videos of people actually doing that. Yeah. And it's, unfortunately, we understand why people these days want to do it, but it's just crazy, isn't it?
And so if when you're listening to the weather or you're looking at a weather report, or you're looking at the Met Office or AMET, and it's got those warnings in place, look for the flags if you're on the beaches. Don't go swimming if there's the wrong coloured flag, and take care of yourself when you're on the coastals. But in terms of what's happening, the weather for the next few days, tomorrow is going to be a little bit unsettled into the weekend because we've got this. So we've got the clouds that you can see if you look towards Tady. The clouds are sitting around there. There's going to be more rain towards the inside of the island.
Snow
so
there as well.
There has been snow. Again, the roads are quite dangerous up there. So if you're going up there, just be careful. There'll be rain in the north. There'll be drizzly showers here, but again, further inland you are, the further more showers it's going to be. Sunshine and a mix of the odd showers. Temperatures are going to be 20 to 22 degrees across the weekend. So basically the outlook is a bit of a mixed week. Sunshine at times, occasional light showers, won't last very long. Daytime temps 19 to 22, nighttime temps around 13.
And I think it's always the way, isn't it? If people, like you said, your mum said to you, what's something like, I think everyone's parents are the same. And I think it's one of those things, isn't it? In the daytime, if it's sunny, you can go by the pool. At night time, you might have to wear a jumper. Because it does get a bit chilly.
To answer all those questions, do I need to bring a cardie? Bring one anyway.
Yes.
The thing is, no one's ever gone without one. Like, you're going to pack a cardie. It literally weighs
I
like
don't own a
this.
cardie.
Also, but
I'm going to get you one. I know what to get you in. And when we do the Secret Santa this year.
Oh!
She's going to start crocheting that right now.
The Tenerife Pod.
The Tenerife Pod crocheted, crocheted cardie.
Well, thank you for that weather update. I really enjoyed myself. I've got something that I want to bring into the pod.
Okay.
And we're just going to do this to finish off with. Nice, light-hearted little thing.
Okay.
What's your favourite? We all live here for a reason. There are so many wonderful things about living on this island. So I thought every week we would choose a different thing and choose our favourite.
I like it.
I'm going to choose something quite controversial because I feel like I mean, everyone's going to perhaps have an opinion on this. And a lot of people's opinion might be your mum's.
Okay, I'm wondering where the question's leading to, but okay.
I want to know.
Go on, I'm here for it.
I know a few questions. I hope it's not, Steve. Are you the same?
I'm exactly the same. No, go on, Jen. I'm here for it.
Or Jen, do you mean it might be your mum's?
I'm not going to get into this. She'll be listening. Sorry, Mum. I want to know where your favourite Sunday dinner
Or where
is.
or what?
No, where.
Oh, where?
Yeah.
You can go first.
Because we in Tenerife. I mean, what? We could all make our own, I suppose.
You're the chef. You go first.
Favourite Sunday dinner that's not my own, that I cook at home, because mine's the best. I have to say...
You're not going to say it, are you?
I am going to say
You're not going to say it.
I am going to say it.
He's going to say it.
I'm going to say the Winchester. In
Are you biased?
A tiny bit.
Is it because you cook it and it's your own?
I don't. No. Please hear me out. I don't work Sundays.
Just for those people watching, Steve works at the Winchester.
But they have an amazing mixed Sunday roast. So 4 meats: beef, lamb, chicken, and pork. They do a giant Yorkshire pudding the size of your head, stuffing that's made with sausage meat, a mashed potato, roast potato, braised cabbage.
You're just describing a roast dinner, though.
But a really nice
yes,
one.
but no. Yes, but no. I mean, I think there's more bad Sunday dinners over here than good ones.
True.
Okay.
And in my opinion, a Sunday dinner has to have homemade Yorkshire puddings.
Yes.
I'm not interested in going somewhere and paying to have Aunt Bessie's.
Okay.
I also feel as though it should have proper meat.
Yeah.
That's not just the... You can buy not full joints, can't you?
Yes, yeah, you can absolutely.
And it's just not the same.
No.
It's just not the same. So I think it should always be fresh veg, not frozen veg.
100%.
So, I mean,
I'm suspicious when I see Sunday dinners with the. Have you ever seen the crinkle cut carrots? If you ever see crinkle cut carrots, they're frozen.
Oh, really?
Nobody would
But
freshly
you
cut.
can tell because they taste like water. Yeah. Go
Crinkle
on,
cut carrots
Chris,
is a dead giveaway.
Where's yours? Where's your favourite roast dinner?
I'll be honest. My favourite roast dinner that I would always go back to. I mean, I've been to several places and tried some fantastic ones. I'm going to give an honourable mention to the Vault, because I think the Vault's is really,
They
really
do
good.
a good lunch.
The Vault's it's really hearty. I like fresh stuff and a good gravy.
Oh, they do a good gravy. Yeah.
However, my favourite Sunday dinner by a long way is probably the most expensive Sunday dinner right here, and it's at Empire.
No,
I like the big roast at Empire. Now then, the big roast, they do 4 meats the same, but they do each one. You can buy each one as an individual meal, but doesn't necessarily mean you just have lamb or, it's pork belly with something as a meal.
Okay.
Lamb with something as a meal.
Yeah.
So it's each individual special.
Nice.
But I'm also going to say it's not as good as it used to be.
Okay.
Because they used to do those individual bits individually, whereas now you just get a bowl of veg.
Right.
So it's it's 20 odd euros, I think, which for a Sunday dinner on this island is relatively probably the most expensive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for me, it's the best. But I would like them to go back to how it used to be done previously, because it would be worth the extra.
Is it
Right.
pre-COVID Empire Sunday dinner?
Yes.
See,
So-
COVID has affected the Sunday dinners at Empire.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes.
Can I just... beautifully done. Beautifully
To bring
done.
back the pre-COVID Sunday dinners at Empire.
And what about you, Jen?
So mine, again, like I'm not a foodie, I've told you. However, and also I will say this, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I don't love a roast at home. It was never my favourite dinner.
I'd also like to point out, I haven't tried every single one of them.
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Like, don't
Only
come
the
for
ones
us.
that we've tried, yeah.
My favourite.
Although I'm open to offers.
Yeah.
We all
Does anyone need to invite us down? Players Lounge in Los Cristianos,
Okay.
San Telmo.
Do you know, I've seen some pictures of there, and don't they own 25 next door as well?
So yeah, I went there
And-
recently
and
for
both,
lunch.
And they both look really, really good.
So good. Like, it is all fresh, I believe. Again, I'm not a chef, so I'm not in the kitchen, but it is all fresh, as in like when they're gone.
If
they're
it tastes fresh, Jen, it usually means that it
Yeah.
is fresh. Like you said, frozen veg has a taste, but fresh veg
Oh,
also
it's
you
lovely.
know when it's fresh. Yeah.
It's lovely. Like the chicken is like wrapped in bacon and stuff. The stuffing is just insane. It's so good.
Every
and
Sunday dinner should have stuffing.
Oh, I
And
agree.
should have parsnips
Yeah.
as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't like parsnips, but there's always someone to
Nobody
give them
likes a
to.
fussy eater, Jen.
But also the view you're getting.
Yeah, true.
And I even went down with my family once, and it was raining.
That's
We just
true.
sat and watched it's just beautiful.
That's true, because
where
the
I
only
would
thing
go.
about Empire in the daytime, nighttime it's fantastic. You know, Hard Rock's open, a really huge buzz. Safari Centre's brilliant. Daytime, it's a little bit like
It's a bit of a shopping centre, isn't
yeah.
it?
So that's fair comment. That's fair comment.
And both of
Can
our
I ask one last
choices
question?
look out over
Can I ask one last
Yes.
question? Do we think that? I mean, I'm always being told that Christmas dinner is a glorified Sunday dinner. Yeah. Should Yorkshire pudding be on a Christmas dinner?
I don't care about like what should be and shouldn't be. Like if I want some cranberry sauce on a bit of pork or something, I'm just like, stop having a go at me. Just let me live my life. If I want a Yorkshire pudding on every day, just do what makes you happy.
I understand exactly what you're saying, Jen, but no, it doesn't.
I'm surprised.
The chef
I'm not
speaks.
gonna lie.
Fair.
Doesn't-
The chef
doesn't-
speaks.
doesn't belong.
If anyone was to be more qualified to answer
sorry,
the question,
Yorkshire.
it is probably you, to be fair.
Although I must be honest, I'm not being biased. I love Yorkshire pudding. In
I
actual
don't-
fact, when
I
I go
don't
to
hate them.
England, and anybody who's in England will vouch for this. If you go for a Toby breakfast,
Oh.
they do a Yorkshire pudding on their
On
breakfast.
breakfast?
Yeah, you can go
Well,
for
it's
you
a
can go for
pancake, isn't it?
You can go for breakfast, and it's Yorkshire pudding with onions and it's
Ugh.
fantastic.
And
Sounds revolting.
are we saying that you can put scrambled eggs and sausages inside your giant
Yeah.
Yorkshire pudding? Oh my god!
There's something for you to do at
Do
the
you know
Winchester.
what? That sounds amazing. I may have to suggest it.
Forget mozzarella sticks. Yorkshire pudding breakfast.
I just
is
want
the
to
new
put it out there. Then would anyone actually? Because that sounds. I wouldn't want to
Would
eat
you
that
eat
for
one of
breakfast.
those?
Yeah.
I would. Well, it's pancake batter.
I get that.
So it's
But
like
also,
having
when you-
pancakes and bacon works.
Also,
Pancakes
when you go to events these days, you can get Yorkshire pudding wraps.
Yeah, they work. They work.
Actually, yeah, but that's with like a Sunday dinner in it, isn't it?
Yeah,
no,
but
you can have anything in it.
Oh.
I don't think a breakfast. Couple of hash
I mean, think
browns,
about-
couple of rashers of bacon, and some beans.
Think about it.
yeah.
What's toad in the hole?
Sausages
Well,
in. Yeah, of course it is.
But
That's
I
sausages in
wouldn't
Yorkshire
have
pudding batter.
wouldn't have toad in the hole for breakfast though.
Why not?
Why would-
Are we going to start the Yorkshire pudding restaurant?
do you want me, do you
know
want
what I
me
mean?
involved? Because
We even serve coffee in a Yorkshire pudding. You just it's Yorkshire pudding cup of coffee.
Anyway, so I'm Empire.
Right.
So where are you?
Players Lounge at San Telmo Los Cristianos.
Steve.
The Winchester in Fanny Bay.
So-
And I'm the Empire, which is one of Venture Restaurants in the Safari Centre.
We will come on to something else. What's your favourite on the next pod? If you would like to make any suggestions and
Able to put their favourites
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
one of our
on
posts or
socials, on
something.
comments,
Yeah,
yeah,
is that all right?
absolutely. We want you to get involved. Like this isn't just us sitting having a chat. That's exactly what it is. But we would like you to come and have your say as well. And we want this to be an inclusive pod. So yeah, we want your input. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks guys for joining us today. We'll be back next week for another
Been
The
an
Tenerife
absolute
Pod.
pleasure. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Thank you. What's next week's subject? Do we know yet?
We've got a few. I think we need to have a little think and
I look
decide.
forward to
We've
it.
got
Yes, I
we've
will.
got a few to choose from. So let's wait and see.